Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a heartbreaking and truly bizarre story about love, sacrifice, and the extremes a person will go to for family. It's a story I encountered that forced me to re-examine what we think we know about the people closest to us. Our story begins with a man named Ethan. Ethan was completely smitten. The object of his devotion was Sarah, a beautiful, kind-hearted woman who seemed to embody every virtue. For Ethan, Sarah wasn't just a girlfriend. She was the most pure and spiritual person he had ever met. They attended church together every Sunday, volunteered at the local soup kitchen, and planned a life together. He felt their bond was unbreakable, a perfect foundation of faith, hope, and love. He was ready to propose. But then the perfect picture started to crack. Ethan first came to me with a knot of anxiety in his stomach. He told me that over the past few months, Sarah had changed. She'd become distant, stopped showing up for church events, and her communication dropped off dramatically. He was worried, but what truly terrified him was the word of a friend who claimed to have seen Sarah with another man in a different part of town. A man she was clearly close to. I asked Ethan if he'd confronted her. He couldn't. He was paralyzed by the fear that it was true, and even more so by the fear that if it wasn't, he would break her trust and she would be disappointed in him. He swore up and down that Sarah was not that kind of girl. He painted a picture of their perfect past. Sarah wasn't interested in fancy restaurants or luxury gifts. When they celebrated their 100-day anniversary, she simply said, "A special occasion is just a meal with the person I love." She was content with a simple dinner, more focused on his well-being and her health. "I just want us to be together, healthy for a long, long time," she'd told him. He thought she was an absolute saint. But now she was cold, elusive, and the simple truth was, Ethan was being ignored. Ethan provided me with what little information he had. Sarah, 31, was a graduate student living in the Queens neighborhood of New York. Oddly, after dating for a year, he didn't have her exact address. She always insisted on being dropped off or picked up a few blocks away. This small detail, combined with her sudden withdrawal, confirmed my instinct that something was seriously wrong. We started monitoring Sarah's movements. Our first confirmation was swift and painful for Ethan. Sarah was meeting other men. One afternoon, we witnessed her at a coffee shop. A new guy approached her, flirting aggressively. She laughed, smiled, and even when a clearly jealous man, another current boyfriend apparently, intervened and claimed to be her partner, she handled it with unnerving ease. This immediately raised a huge red flag. We now had confirmation she was involved with at least 2 men. When we passed this news to Ethan, he was devastated. We needed to know more. The deeper we dug, the darker the picture became. Sarah wasn't just two-timing, she was seeing multiple men. It was a dizzying web of relationships. We quickly identified 3 primary boyfriends, each from a completely different walk of life. Number 1, Michael, an executive at a major tech company. Sarah would meet him near his office in Manhattan. He'd treat her to expensive dinners and was completely dedicated to her. She'd bring him elaborate, healthy home-cooked meals, always emphasizing he needed to eat well. Number 2, Sam, a 7 years younger college student. With Sam, the dates were youthful and energetic, running 5K and grabbing casual food. Number 3, David, an older, wealthy, and well-mannered businessman. This date was all about high-end wine bars and professional conversation. Sarah seemed to switch effortlessly between these personas. What was even more baffling was that she didn't appear to be after their money or expensive gifts. In fact, she often politely refused them. The most disturbing discovery was that she had introduced at least one of these men to the same older man, whom she introduced as her father, who was seemingly very ill and approved of them all. When Ethan finally confronted her, the conversation was brutal. Sarah confirmed the worst. She was involved with all of them. "If you want to stay with me, you have to accept I'm seeing others," she told him, shockingly. When he demanded an explanation, she just kept saying, "I have my reasons." But one particular event started to give us a real clue. As we continued to observe Sarah's activities, a pattern emerged that was utterly bizarre and consistent across all her relationships. First, the emphasis on health. With Michael, she stressed the importance of nutrient-dense food. With Sam, it was exercise, running, and pushing him to be physically fit. She acted like a dedicated personal trainer and nutritionist rolled into one. Second, the dates themselves were surprisingly chaste. Despite the constant secrecy, the activities were very wholesome: movies, walks, simple meals. But the third and most peculiar pattern was the destination date. Sarah took every single one of her boyfriends to the same downtown hospital to donate blood. It sounds like a strange dating ritual, but it was ritualized. Every 2 weeks, one of the boyfriends would go with her to the New York Presbyterian Hospital Blood Center for a donor date. She'd always make a show of being super grateful, calling them my hero. When we looked through the tapes, we noticed one more thing. Just before approaching a potential new connection, she would ask them a very specific question, seemingly casual, but always the same. "What's your blood type?" We gathered all the evidence and called the men together. They were furious, demanding to know how they had all been so thoroughly played. That's when we dropped the bombshell. "Every single one of you has something in common besides dating Sarah," I told them. "You were all AB positive." The room went silent. Sarah wasn't looking for a life partner, a jogging buddy, or a dinner date. She was looking for an AB positive blood donor. We finally broke the full story. Sarah's father, the man she introduced them to, was actually her husband, James. James was not a sick father, but a young husband and the father of her 3-year-old child. He was battling acute leukemia and was in constant need of whole blood and platelet transfusions. Because of a prior pregnancy, Sarah was ineligible to donate platelets, which her husband desperately needed. They were relying on designated donors, and the AB positive blood type is both rare and often in short supply. Sarah's dating life was a carefully curated 2-pronged strategy. Selection: she only dated men with the rare AB positive blood type. Maintenance: she made sure they were constantly healthy, feeding them protein, making them exercise to ensure their blood was in peak condition for donation. The coldness Ethan felt was because he had hit the annual limit for blood donation, 24 times a year, once every 2 weeks. Once his supply ran out, he became, in her eyes, temporarily useless. Sarah, a loving wife and mother, had turned to deception, using her charm and their love as a means to sustain her husband's life until a bone marrow match could be found. Ethan ultimately withdrew his intent to sue her. He realized that Sarah's betrayal, as painful as it was, stemmed from a primal, desperate place of love and survival. She was not a gold digger or a careless heartbreaker, but a mother trying to keep her child's father alive. It doesn't excuse the deception, but it certainly changes the way we judge her actions. It makes you wonder, what would you sacrifice, and what lines would you cross to save the person you love most? Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this incredible story in the comments below.